Evo, just double check on YouTube and then we'll rock and roll.
Sounds good.
There we go. All right, clean start for the podcast version. In 3. What's going on, folks? Welcome to Got Your Back live stream edition. Yes, we are live on Twitter and on YouTube. Anything happened today? Any news? Holy smokes. What's going on with this Philip Broberg thing? Jason Strudwick, Rob Brown standing by. We're going to dig into what we know, what we think. As always, Got Your Back brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. Were you able to make it out to their Black Friday 2-day sales event? Look at the staff looking so sharp. That is Canada's #1 volume GMC dealership in the country. Great looking staff, and they're very proud. They wanted to extend a huge thank you to everybody that was able to get by and to all of you. If you've never been to Sherwood Buick GMC and you need a truck or a car or a vehicle, new or used, make sure you go down and check it out because they actually have stock. And they're Canada's #1 GMC dealership for a reason. Go see Phil and the fantastic crew. Mention Got Your Back sent you. They'll give you great pricing, but they'll also give you 3 free ultimate detail packages on a new or a used vehicle. So go see Phil and the crew out here in Sherwood Park, or check them out online, gmcpod.com. Coming to you from the Long Shot Studio here in the park. You know, it's more than just golf. It's a sports destination. Locations on Stony Plain Road and here in Sherwood Park. As we say, good evening to the fellas. And this is a big night for the pod, boys. A big night because we finally got Rob Brown's hat flipped around.
Yeah, I got to admit, it had nothing to do with me. All I did was wear the hat. This was all behind the scenes. I know nothing technically what happened. I just looked up on the screen and I look backwards now.
Yeah, it looks good, buddy. Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Stretch. I appreciate it. Fashion guru like you. I mean, right. It means a lot to me.
Steve,
you're welcome, guys.
Steve, do you want to walk us through how it got fixed, or how'd that happen after 2 months here?
After 2 months, you actually came up with the idea. So there's your bat pack. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. Gee. No, all good. Well,
Look
boys.
at me, everybody.
Yeah, I know. That's the kind of night I'm having. Brownie, you ever demand a trade? You ever ask for a trade? You ever get into a situation where it was, was untenable and you just had to?
Yeah, I did. I asked for a trade. Well, I got traded, and the team that traded me won the Stanley Cup. So really good, Brian. Thanks for bringing that up. I was in Pittsburgh, and Bob Johnson became our new coach. And I love Bob Johnson. He was a really, really nice person. He just felt that I was not his kind of hockey player, and I wasn't playing a whole lot. And we asked for a trade, and the Pittsburgh Penguins traded me to the Hartford Whalers. It was one of the big pieces for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Mm-hmm. They got rid of me. And all of a sudden, they found back-to-back Stanley Cups. So, didn't work out as well as I'd hoped, Ryan. But thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry, buddy. It's still a little. It sounds to me, Struddy, like it's a little soft still. A little bit of a soft.
Still sensitive, eh? Still sensitive. That's what Bob probably didn't like about your game.
Yeah. Man.
Well, that in my defensive play. It was that in my defensive play. Yeah.
How about you, Struds? You ever get to that point where you're just like, trade me right now?
No, never. That never even entered my mind. I knew where I was in the grand scheme. They're like, trade you. We're just going to waive you, put in the minors.
Okay, we'll make this easy on you then, Struds. No problem at all. Okay, guys, lots to talk about today. The situation with Philip Broberg. So let's get to the breakdown brought to you by our great friends over at Mr. Dirk. Sterling, Dan, and company, they're running a tight shop over there. It's fantastic. If you haven't had a chance to go see the showroom, highly recommend it, whether it's casual wear that you want to upgrade or if it's wanting to sharpen your look around the office. They've got great suits and pants and shirts and belts and ties and all that fancy stuff, but they got great casual wear as well. Super friendly staff, and they have been around since 1939. So they are clearly doing something right. It's a one-stop shop for all your clothing needs. Visit MrDirk.com. Okay, quick recap. Early in the day, Kevin Weeks tweeting that he's hearing that there's a Broberg deal that's, it's likely to happen, or there's a good chance it's going to happen. Frank Saravalli follows up and tweets that it's his understanding that the organization has given Darren Ferris, Broberg's agent, permission to seek out a trade around the National Hockey League. Frank, very thorough, very good reporter. So he reported what he knew to be fact at that time. And then I started looking into this a little bit, got in touch with the Oilers, and listen, it's not my job to undo anybody else's reporting or anything like that. Just needed to find out what the team was saying. Ken Holland quoted him tonight on Twitter saying, "We have not given Broberg's agent permission to shop for a trade." So the Oilers say that they have not given Broberg's camp permission to shop for a trade. That, despite what was tweeted today, got a hold of Darren Ferris, and Darren Ferris gave me a quote. He says, "This matter reflects both my and my client's frustration with the Oilers. I'm actively collaborating with Ken to address and resolve the issue privately." I would suggest none of this has been private, gentlemen. Struds, you first. What do you read into this sequence of events today and where it sits?
Well, obviously there's frustration, right? I think that both sides would have some frustration the way that maybe Broberg has his career's gone so far. From the older side, they probably expected more. And then you look on the other side for the player. I mean, he's really not getting an opportunity to play, and he probably wants the chance to get going. So, I don't like it when things come public like this because it gets testy. And I think it doesn't look good for the player, for the team, for the agent. Just to me, it doesn't look good. I'd prefer if it would keep quiet and under wraps when these things get out. And I never believe that just accidentally get out. People plant seeds. They're planted out there for a reason. So the person ultimately who loses in this, I believe, is Phil Broberg, right? Because now it becomes a bit of a battle. I don't think the coaches, it won't affect his relationship with the coaches, but it's a battle between the player and the agent and the management of Brownie.
Well, I agree. I don't like when it's public either. And when it becomes public, it also puts a target on the player. So if Broberg does come up and plays poorly, well, yeah, here's the guy that wanted out of here. He doesn't even want to play for the Edmonton Oilers. So I think that puts a little bit more pressure on a young player who's trying to find his way in the NHL to start with. I can understand Broberg wanting to move on. He hasn't been given a chance here. He's not in their plans. Now, part of the problem for Broberg is the Oilers' defense has been fairly healthy the last year and a bit. Yeah. Normally, there's always a defenseman down, and you're on your 7th, your 8th defenseman at times. And sometimes those defensemen in those roles coming up prove themselves. They get off some ice time, and one guy comes back, but another guy goes out, and all of a sudden you're in the minors, but now you're playing 40 games in a row, and you've proved that you can play. So Broberg believes he's an NHL defenseman. He doesn't think he's getting a chance here. The problem for the Oilers, if the Oilers do have an injury, they need Broberg because it's a big drop-off after Broberg to whoever they have next to come up. So unfortunately, going public now puts a little bit of pressure on, do you move him now? Or what's the next move for the agent if the Oilers say, no, we're not moving you? Do they sit out? So it's a tough situation where, and I agree with you, Struds, the person that loses the most in this is Philip Broberg.
I don't think the Oilers should trade Philip Broberg. I think the Oilers need to take charge of Philip Broberg's development, and I think they need to start prioritizing Philip Broberg's development. And that doesn't mean giving him what he wants. That means actually start to really, really think about it and make decisions with his development in mind. I think they've done a terrible job with this player. I really do. I think they have not prioritized his development enough. And I think they tried to this year, but a few things went the wrong way. And I get it, right? You guys remember, he was going to play with Ekholm, right? Remember that in training camp? They had a plan for how to get Philip Broberg more minutes. And then Ekholm got hurt and missed all of exhibition. And Bouchard and Nurse was a train wreck that they could not keep together. And then they started the way they started. So all bets were off. What got lost in all of that disaster was any thought process of, what are we doing, Philip Broberg? What's happening with Philip Broberg? Now, they justified it, Struds, because Jay Woodcroft was willing to go 11-7, and they could find him at least some chance to pull the sweater on in an 11-7 formation. But the new coach don't roll like that. He has been recalled and healthy scratched in 6 of the 8 games since you recalled him. What did you recall him for to scratch him in 6 out of 8 games? It's ridiculous. And for some reason, it's allowed to continue happening here. And I think they've done a terrible job managing the development of this monumentally important prospect for us.
Yeah, the problem is that there's just nowhere to go, right? And I made the point before last summer that I thought the Oilers would have to move Brett Kulak so that Broberg saw a spot for him to go for, right? There's no spot. And I'm not sitting here comparing Broberg to Vinny Darnay, but Vinny is a different type of player than Broberg is. So you can put Vinny in and he brings that element that you want. And he's doing a pretty good job at it. So, but with Broberg, if you look at the left side, those guys are veterans. They're here to play. You're not rotating in and out with those 3. Then on the other side, they're the same thing, So the 6 is kind of set. Brownie's point about injuries is well made. Then he dressed 7 just to get an extra guy 6-7 minutes a night. It's a waste. That's not development. You're not developing playing 6-7 minutes. So I just don't see a path forward for Broberg to get regular ice time on this team, Brownie. And I get why he's asking to be out, but your point's also well made. There's no one else behind him. Who's the next guy? And we don't even really know what Broberg is. If
Guys,
he is the next guy.
It doesn't matter who's next because all that guy's doing is eating popcorn and maybe sliding into the lineup with an untimely injury, right, Struds?
But it does make a difference because if they trade away Broberg and get a forward, now at the trade deadline, if they're in the playoffs, you got to trade for 2 defensemen, right?
It's true. Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, good point. And the problem with trading Broberg is not if the guy comes up and sits in the press box. The problem is if there's an injury and the guy coming up having to play. And there's no one down there right now that could do what Broberg has or has even the little bit of experience that Broberg has. I thought for Broberg, when they were trying to decide whether or not, but this is before everything happened at the beginning of the year, if he was going to be good enough for this team to play in their top 6 for a team that's challenging for a Stanley Cup. And the way they were only going to find that out is if they played him 30, 40 games straight, give him 15 minutes a night, and then see him in all situations. I didn't like earlier in the year where they pulled him out. I think it was in Philadelphia because they wanted a bigger lineup. I'm like, well, you've got to see what Broberg can do because to get out of the Western Conference, you got to go through LA. You got to go through Vegas. You got to go through Dallas. So let's see if Broberg can play against those players. Because if he can't, let's know now. So now we can know what we have to go get come trade deadline. And they didn't do that. They pulled him out in those games and said, oh, we need a bigger player in Desharnais. So now you're not even testing Broberg to see what he's available or what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, completely agree. Like, this is the thing. Your first round picks, your prospects, when you're an organization that is contending, it is so crucial that you get good players in that can contribute on entry-level deals. It is so crucial. And it needs to be game planned out from the minute they turn pro. What is the game plan for this guy? Now, Broberg came in last year and dropped the ball. There was a spot that was there. It was his. We all knew it. He dropped the ball. But guess what? Young players do that sometimes, right? So it wasn't great. He had to go back to the American Hockey League, and he had to spend some time there. He got into a decent number of games last season, but when the playoffs rolled around, guys, they still didn't trust this player. They still couldn't count on this player. They didn't even know what they had in this player in the playoffs last year, and they didn't use him in the playoffs at all last year. And so while I understand, the sequence of events that didn't give him the top 4 look they were hoping with Ekholm, what are they doing with him right now? Like, how can you just drag a guy around on your roster, healthy scratching him, when everybody knows what he needs, Struddy, is to play 23 minutes a night, maybe get some power play time. Heaven forbid, raise your arms in the air a little bit. And as an organization, you have to make the call. This is where you're going to be, and this is what's best for you. And whether you or your agent or whoever likes it or not, doesn't matter. Take control of the player's development. And I just don't think they've done that, Reds.
Yeah. I think it's unlikely. I'm not an insider, but I think it's unlikely that Broberg wants to play in the minors, right? He wants to play in the NHL.
Tough shit.
But I know, but the problem is that there's nowhere for him to play in the NHL right now. The 6 are set. So, maybe you talk to him, say, listen, buddy, like, we know you want to be in the NHL, but these are our 6 right now. And we got off to a very tough start. So we're not into setting you up and playing you right now. You should be in the minors. You're going to be in the minors playing there. And when there's an injury, you're the first call up. Right. And it's just, there's no room to move. Like I understand that people say, well, you can dress 7 and put them in 7, but no one wants to play a 7 defenseman. It works every now and then, but no one wants to play it. That's not a long-term solution. That's a short-term solution to make everyone feel okay. And some people feel upset, but no one losing it. So Brownie, if you truly wanted to get this going, truly, I think you would have moved Kulak in the summer. And not that I'm advocating moving Kulak. I like Kulak.
Mm-hmm.
But to move out, you shave not just shave, you also save about $1.5 million on that transaction. And I think that would have been the move, but they didn't do it. So here we are with a guy that really has no space in the NHL to play.
Quick correction too. He played the 9 playoff games, but he played under 7 minutes. So like he didn't play much in the playoffs season.
And Struds you're right. He should be playing in the minors, and the guy that's in the press box should be the oldest veteran that doesn't need any seasoning. Yeah, whoever it is.
There you go. Come on,
there you go. Play up. You're going to get
paycheck, man.
Get NHL money. You're going to sit in the stands. You're going to practice in the NHL. And as soon as there's an injury, you're going down. We're bringing Broberg up. That's the way. That's the way it should be. It really should. And you know what? Gleason would like that. I mean, NHL money's better than minor league, buddy. They don't fly anywhere on charters down in Bakersfield, so it would have been good for them. So that's what they need to do. But I think they're at the point right now that the agent is pushing for his client to move. And to me, that is, unless the Oilers get something back on the back end, that's not going to help the Oilers going forward, because you know that as soon as they do make a deal, somebody on the back end is going to get injured. It's going to happen. Yeah. And now you're in trouble because now you're calling somebody up that's not as good as Broberg.
Yeah. And they have a history with this. I will say, this is not a one-off with Philip Broberg. I don't like the way they've handled Dylan Holloway in a lot of instances too. I think they kept him here too long, not playing him enough minutes. Like, these are high guys that have played big minutes their whole lives, and breaking them into the NHL by playing them 8-9 minutes for Dylan Holloway, like the opportunity that Broberg has gotten here, 10 minutes and 32 seconds a night in 10 games played here, healthy scratched. I just, and then, what they did? Same thing with Evan Bouchard the year before, when he was just hauled around all season long on the taxi squad, just wasting a year when he could have been playing 20 plus minutes a night in the American League. Now, he's worked out fine for the most part, but Struds, I just don't see a firm strategy when it comes to developing their top end guys. Like, what is your ethos, Oilers, on how to develop your top end guys? What is the firm strategy that is clearly at play? I don't see one. I see them giving in to whatever is convenient for the roster in the moment. And you have to be more responsible than that with prospects that are this important than what you might kind of need right now. Some things you need to go bigger picture on.
Yeah, I mean, I always advocate for drafting and developing, and I know people don't want to hear that, and that is what I believe in. I believe in putting guys in the minors. I don't believe in saying, hey, play well for a couple of weeks, come back. And you and I got into it, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, where Broberg had like 2 good games and you're ready to call him back up. Like, to me, you leave people in the minors, because I've been there before. When a coach goes down there and sends you down and says, hey, don't get comfortable. Do you really apply yourself down there? Are you bringing your best effort every night to get better, off ice, on ice, doing video, all that kind of stuff? You're not. I'm an NHL guy. I'm just here to visit. I'm an NHL guy. You send them down with the intention we're staying down. That's why I actually like what they've done with Xavier Bourgault. He's down there and he's playing and he's learning the game, and that's how you do it. So when they come up, they're ready. Edmonton owner fans and to extent the media, they always want the shiny toy to come up and play. I just disagree with him. He is ready when he's ready. We can't say it's a year and a half of the minors or 2.5 years. Everybody's different. And I think that's where I get frustrated. So
Struds, this is my point, though. I'll argue back. This is my point.
Yeah.
Play them. One way or another, play them. So minors, if you call them up, play them and give them minutes and play them.
But you were advocating 2 years ago to call him back up after 2 good periods of hockey.
And play him. So if you're going to call him up, play him.
No, but don't call him up. Just say you're going down. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say you should be playing and just advocating to call him up when he wasn't ready to be called up because he wasn't an NHL player. Just leave him in the minors. Just lock the key, throw it away.
Sure.
Don't have him come back. That's how I see it.
But you understand, Brownie. I love Brownie. Just listen.
Hey, guys, I'm still here.
Sorry, this is an old fight of Struds and mine from last year. Struds, you make a fair point, but this is my submission to you. Whether you believe she should be in the American League, whether he should be in the National Hockey League, wherever you believe this player belongs and is ready for, play him wherever he is. Do not recall him and healthy scratch him. 6 out of 8 games. That is insanity for a player of this importance level. Can we all agree with that?
Okay, both you guys are right. You're both right there. And the weird thing about all of this isn't Ken Holland and the Detroit Red Wings, isn't this what they were famous for in Detroit? All of their first-round picks, all of their prospects stayed down in the minors and were over-ripened by the time they get up. So when they came up, they were ready to play. There was not a lot of players in Detroit that were pushed like there have been so far here in Edmonton. But yes, any player, if a player comes up from the minors, don't just come up and let him play 6 minutes because I don't care who he is. 6 minutes does not make a hockey player. You can't tell what that player can do in those 6 minutes. So Broberg should be down in the minors playing right now. Someone else should be up in the press box sitting with you and I.
Last word to you, Struds. Gonna have to unmute your mic to get the last word, bud.
No, the damage is kind of done. Not the damage isn't done, but this is a learning experience, right? But we can go back, Puljujärvi. We can go back with I give him a pass on Evan Bouchard.
Hang on a second. Puljujärvi, let's not even open that can of worms. Opportunity-wise.
No, but he shouldn't have been in the NHL. Actually,
right.
He shouldn't have come
that's
over.
Fair.
He should have stayed in Finland for a year and then come to the minors. And then maybe he could have looked at the NHL. But no one wants to hear that, right? Everyone wants to get the shiny toy, the agent, the player, the team, the media, the fans. There's only one shining voice of reason in this whole province, and he's looking good tonight. And but that's the truth. But you just got to be patient. And this is crazy, but no one wants to hear it. Who is advocating not to trade for Green and Anastasiou? You don't need to do that. You weren't that good. Patience. But now that patience is done, because now you're trying to win now, and that's the problem. It makes it hard. It makes it hard.
All right, that was the breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl. We're going to keep going on this. I sort of had a plan for our takeaway segment, but there's more to get to on this. We'll pull some questions off the stream here as well because the stream is absolutely on fire. People want to get in on this. So coming up next, we'll dive in on the stream a little bit, continue this conversation, and then Brownie's going to stick around for that and Struddy's World as well. So tons more to come. Keep your comments coming.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from United Sport and Cycle. Christmas is just around the corner and we've got everything you need for the athlete and sports fan on your list. With over 30 different sports under one roof, including hockey, bikes, ball, and our amazing fan shop, United is your one-stop shop for everything sport. Don't know what to buy? A United gift card is always a fan favorite. United Sport and Cycle, your Santa's workshop for over 95 years.
Time to talk about your mortgage? It doesn't have to be a daunting conversation. With over 16 years in the industry, Maria Gallus with Maximum Mortgages knows how to make it easy. With access to dozens of different lenders, let Maria customize the perfect solution for you. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or renewing, or a first-time buyer, Maria's simplistic approach and expert advice will have you feeling confident you're in great hands, making informed decisions. Take the stress out of your mortgage journey. Contact Maria Gallus at mortgagesbymaria.ca. That's mortgagesbymaria.ca.
The Edmonton Sport and Social Club is YEG's top destination for adult recreational sports, offering over 20 different options, including ball hockey, indoor volleyball, pickleball, and now ice hockey for all you fans out there looking to lace them up for the first time or get back into the game after a few years off, like Struddy. Sign up by December 13th for the winter season beginning mid-January at edmontonsportsclub.com. All right, time now for takeaways brought to you by Redefined Health and Dr. Tyler Fix. Was down there again today. Was helping me out with the knee. It's coming along pretty good, Struds. He said that I heal up pretty good. Pretty efficient body I've got. My musculoskeletal system is above average. He figures.
What did he say about the elliptical?
He said it's perfectly acceptable for that to be your main way of cardiovascular exercise. Dr. Tyler Fix, they specialize in total body and mind wellness and knee wellness, from chiropractic and massage care treatments, acupuncture, soft tissue therapy, nutrition, even an on-site registered psychologist. You know what? Tyler's just a great guy. I've enjoyed getting to know him a little better as he's working on my bad knee. Visit redefinedhealth.com. Lots of action in Weiss Johnson Street. What are you laughing at, Struds?
Just your bad. How did it even happen? Like, how do you just get a sore knee?
I don't know.
How old are you?
I'm old. I'm not as old. I'm old. I'm 46, but I think, you know how you can do like your metabolic and body age? Yeah. I think I'm probably pushing 60. I think I'm probably up in that range for sure.
Fair point.
Dr. Tyler Fix might be able to help me with that. Some people are concerned about you on the stream here, Brownie.
Me?
Yeah, Freezer Bag said Brownie's going to ask for his release from the show tonight. Brownie looks like he wishes he was with Reed. Because I don't know what it was like watching Mom and Dad fight that last segment, but sometimes that makes the others nervous.
Well, I mean, I got to watch some of the Team Canada Christine Sinclair last game tonight. So you guys fight all you want because I'm enjoying the game. But no, you guys sounded really good. Neither one of you made sense. But I mean, I think that's why I was brought into this podcast, to try to make a little sense of what's going on in the world. But hey, anytime, I'll just sit here and watch.
Okay, so we've gone over a lot about what's happened in the past. Let's talk about solutions here. What is the pathway to not trading Philip Broberg? I don't think it's that complicated, but I don't think he or his agent are going to like it. For the Edmonton Oilers, I think you just go to Philip Broberg and you say, you need to go to the American Hockey League. You're not going to be in the lineup regularly enough. We think you're a really important player. You need to play a bunch. And when we recall you, we will play you. So if there's an injury, recall him and play him. If his play dictates it, recall him and play him. I think it's that simple. As much as he or the agent or whoever might be frustrated by that, Struds, entry-level contracts exist for a reason. You have the power. Just do it.
Yeah, and I think that his next year contract's not going to be a monster, right? Like, you know, he probably wanted to be as short as possible as well as the Oilers. So I think I get what you're saying. I think you say, buddy, you know, we need you to play. These are the 2 or 3 items we really want you to focus on. Go down there and play. No mention of we're going to recall you when there's injury. I just say, go down and play. This is what you want to work on. Then if there's an injury, and like you say, then if he's got help make those changes, you bring him up and you play him, and you play him regularly. You can't play him this 10, 8, 9 minutes a night. Get him up to that 15-minute mark, and that's 12 to 15. It's passable then, Brownie.
Yeah, but I don't think as you send him down and say, hey, I agree, Struds, you're an injury away from coming up. You go down there and make him earn his trip back up. 100%. I mean, there's a lot of players that'll go down to the minors and they'll pout, or they won't be happy, or they'll half-ass it because they're mad about being there. Put the ball in his court. Say, okay, right now, simple. You're not enough. Our top 6, we feel, are all better than you. Go down to the minors, get better, and when you get your chance, whenever that may be, come up and prove us wrong. We want you as part of the organization, but I don't think there should be a spot handed to him saying, all right, next injury is your guy, and you're going to come up and play a ton. Tell him to go down. And when you send him down, this is the most important thing. And not all coaches were good at it throughout my career. Tell me what I need to work on. Don't just say it's a numbers game. Go down there and play, and we'll get you back up here. Tell me why I'm the odd man out and what I have to get better at to be able to play on a regular basis in the NHL.
Let's get to the Weiss Johnson YouTube mentions. There's they're offering 25% off all in-stock air conditioners right now. So set your brain to thinking about the air conditioners that you might want for next season. 25% off right now, and the offer is only available until we get 10 centimeters or more of the snow on the ground. So an interesting one from Weiss Johnson. Take advantage of the crazy weather. So when the crazy heat hits early next spring, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the comfort of AC in your home. For details, visit wjcools.com.
Weiss Johnson,
Penner's Pancakes in with this. If Broberg can be part of a package of picks and possibly salary dump, it could be very beneficial long-term, and asks that people hit the thumbs up button. Pound that love button.
Pound on that love button.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I want no part of Philip Broberg involved in a deal, Brownie, that is primarily for the purpose of dumping salary or getting draft picks. This guy still has a chance to be an NHL defenseman and a good NHL defenseman, and I think the Oilers need to figure that out while he's still an Oiler.
I agree. The only way you make a trade if you're getting a defenseman you feel is better than him. That's the only reason you would trade him. You're not going to trade him for draft picks because now your next man up is it Niemelainen? Is it Gleason? I don't even know who the next guy on the depth chart is down there, but it's not anyone that we've seen recently. So you can't just get rid of him and now you're stuck with no seventh defenseman because injuries will hit. There's no way the Oilers can stay this healthy on the back end for as long as they have. So if they can find something that's better than Broberg, that can help their team more than Broberg on the back end, yeah, I'm fine with that. But you better be bringing a defenseman back.
Yeah, the problem is you bring another defenseman back. Where's he going to play? Is he going to knock somebody out?
Well, it all depends. Unless maybe he's better than what you got in your top six.
Better than
maybe he can be. Yeah. So that'd be the only thing. So or you bring. Yeah. I don't know, but you can't just get rid of him and then all of a sudden leave the Oilers naked on their seventh defenseman. Sure.
I look at it. I look at an opportunity like they did last year to get Clean Costin. That was a pretty good trade. You give the scouts the credit. That was a really good trade for the Oilers. So there's something you can find like that, maybe a little bit higher up the ladder. Obviously, you want to get someone who's maybe not like clean like that. Not that there's anything wrong with him, but I see him as kind of a fourth liner, maybe a borderline third liner. So that's where I'd like to see that kind of happen. But the value for him, you're right though, Schauger, is trading for picks would be really a step back.
Let's talk about Vinny Desharnais for a minute here, because the reason Broberg isn't getting any action right now is because Desharnais and the Oilers, the Oilers are winning, but Desharnais has upticked in his play here, Struds. What are you reading off of Desharnais, and what confidence level should the Oilers have that the game he's giving them now, he's going to be able to consistently give them for the rest of the season? Because Broberg is the other option if Desharnais comes back down to earth or if he starts to really struggle. And if they don't have Philip Broberg, the drop-off, to your point earlier, is going to be fairly significant down to the next guy. So are you confident enough in Vinny Desharnais for the Oilers to move Philip Broberg out for, just for that reason alone, why you wouldn't want to?
I think what I like about Vinny is, his role is clear cut. It's very clear. And I think that Vinny's at his best when he's not trying to overhandle the puck. Doesn't mean he can't make plays, but when he gets into trouble, especially I thought last year, is when he'd overhandle and try to make a play, and it's like, big man, move the puck. See a play, make a play, buddy. That's your job. So I think that's when he's at his best, and we're seeing it more and more this year. I think Paul Coffey's had a pretty good influence on him. And I actually thought Broberg would have a better, time with Paul Coffey, and maybe he is, but we're just not seeing him play. So it's hard to tell, but yeah, I think I'd be really comfortable if Vinny was your seventh guy.
That's that's a good point. And I do believe that the Oilers will make a move at the deadline. I think
they're going to add a D if they're in it.
Add a D. It'll be a veteran defenseman that they'll bring in at the deadline. The problem for Vinny, the problem for Broberg is he and Desharnais are not apples for apples. So you can't just say pull out Vinny because we're going to put Broberg in. Completely different hockey players. It's like putting a third line guy up on the second or first line as an offensive thing. They play completely different hockey games. Vinny Desharnais understands his role. He understands it very, very well. And on the back end, it's a role that they need. They need a big, physical, mean, nasty defenseman. And he plays that. He's fought a couple times too. And I don't know Vinny from before. I don't know if he was a big fighter in the minors or anything, but his willingness to fight, I think, also endears him to the fans and endears him to his teammates, and certainly makes the coaching staff a little bit happier that they got that big mean guy in their bottom pairing.
This is life when you're in contention.
Mm-hmm.
Life when you're in contention is always going to be a little bit difficult with your prospects. Unless they are just surefire NHL ready guys that are ready to step in and play big roles right away. You want to have a deep enough team to contend, and quite often that doesn't always involve bubble prospects that need time. And so, for Philip Broberg, I mean, he's just, they make the trade for Matthias Ekholm, and there goes that left side. That left side is locked up. The Oilers kept Brett Kulak, Struds, because they feel like they're in a window, and Kulak is a solid playoff performer. He's been good for them when it matters. So a team in contention doesn't go from Brett Kulak to Philip Broberg. I think they had a hard time envisioning that. And then they thought they had a coach that would go 11-7, probably enough to get Broberg in there. But life is tough for fringe prospects when you're on a contending team. It's supposed to be really hard to get ice time. And that's why it's incumbent on the organization to go, we realize the situation around here, and this is just what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything you say is true, right? And that's it's really hard to earn a spot on a team that has, 6 guys that they feel are probably their guys, right? For now, I agree with Brown. I think they'll add someone, or maybe change someone out for a bit of an upgrade. But you also need cheap players, right? And you can't have a bunch of guys making $2 or $3 million on your third pairing. Now, Kulak's 2.5, and then you kind of see what that it moves on up from there. And Vinny is pretty cheap. But I believe Vinny's unrestricted after this year, is he not?
I'll double check it.
So,
no.
So that I'm going to say he's at 750 or 800. If he plays, 60, 70 games, I have a hard time seeing that being the same number.
Yep.
Right? It might creep up a bit. Is the UFA after this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that number is going to go up. I'm not going to say he's going to be a $4 million D, but he might be 1.25, some 1.1. So that changes it quite a bit. So now that third pairing, ooh, geez, that's pricey as a third pairing, right? So
almost like you need a guy on entry level to,
that's right.
Well, it's funny though, Ryan, you kept saying though, it's hard for a fringe prospect to make a team that's challenging for a Stanley Cup. The problem for the Oilers is the agent and the player don't consider their guy a fringe prospect.
Mm-hmm.
They think he's a surefire prospect. And that's why they will continue to make noise, or the agent will continue to make noise because they feel their sure thing prospect is being misused. So there will be noise continuing. I don't know how far it goes, but the simple thing is send them to the minors. The bottom line, you can't have them in the press box. It makes no sense. You can't play 7 defensemen. A defenseman hate it. So put him in the minors, and then he goes down there, works hard, injury comes. If he's playing well, he comes up, and who knows, that might be the success story. All of a sudden, someone comes down, he plays 30 in a row, and you realize, okay, finally, we're starting to see what he's capable of doing. But the only way he can do that is if he's prepared for the opportunity. I don't think you're preparing for an opportunity sitting in the press box.
Yeah, when I say fringe prospect, I mean more on a Stanley Cup contending team. He's right on the fringe of being able to make that roster. He makes Philip Broberg makes 23 other teams probably in the league. Like, he's in there. Whatever the number is. My point is, I think he's an NHL player, and I think he's got the chance to be a good NHL player, but on a team that's adding depth on the blue line and has expectations of winning. They really like that Nurse, Ekholm, Kulak left side. So they're willing to move Broberg over, but they start the way they've started, and the plan got derailed, and now it has gotten ugly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Okay, we're going to wrap this part of the discussion there. When we come back, Brown, are you going to hang in for Struddy's World? I know it's your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
You got your popcorn?
I mean, I got nothing else going on. Sure.
Little preview, Struds. What do you got tonight, bud? What's a little tease, little hint, little nugget, little something?
Personal greetings. It's time to clear the air.
Personal greetings. Okay. Looking forward to it. So's Brownie. Struddy's World right after the break. Long Shots Golf is the destination for both golf enthusiasts and sports fans. Top-of-the-line TrackMan simulators provide a highly entertaining and accurate golf experience, while a full-service sports bar loaded with big screens and scratch kitchen make it a truly unique destination. They have locations in Sherwood Park and Edmonton. Experience the best indoor golf and sports bar in town. Visit longshots.ca. That's longshots with a Z.ca.
Are you ready to elevate your moving experience? Trusted for over 100 years, Ferguson Moving and Storage are your partners in relocation, ensuring your journey is smooth and stress-free. And say goodbye to surprises with Ferguson's transparent flat rate pricing. Contact them now for a free moving quote and use a promo code Ferguson to receive $100 off your next move. Visit fergusonmoving.com and let them lift your expectations. When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good. My bad.
Steve-O.
Sloppy.
Misfire. Yeah, sloppy.
Sloppy. Time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by my brothers. DLR Vinyl Products. They got locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Whether you are a homeowner, a contractor, or a builder, DLR is the most reliable source for vinyl fence. Opened back in 2005 by my dad. And they're not going anywhere. Unmatched service, high quality, North American made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca. I'm a middle child, Brownie. Does that surprise you?
No, you're obviously the one without any handyman abilities. I don't know. I don't want to say you're soft, but are you the soft child?
Yeah. That's funny. He totally nailed that, Struds. Like, he completely nailed that.
Yeah, well, that was hard read.
I mean, Struds said you got a bad knee. We're not sure how you got the bad knee. Wasn't doing anything manual.
I get beaten around by my three brothers enough to come on here and take a beating from you two as well. It's pretty much nonstop. Struddy, let's get to it, buddy. What do you got?
Cheers. Cheers, everybody. We're having a couple of beers. Let's cheers it up and make it feel good. It's a perfect time to use that word cheers, clink the glasses. Everyone's feeling good, whatever. It is not the time to use cheers when you're walking away from someone. Okay, see you later, Shogger. Cheers, Struddy. No, don't cheers me. I ran into a friend today and he tried to cheers me as we were walking away. I said, no, I reject your cheers. I'm not taking it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be cheered as I'm walking away. It's goodbye. See you later. Salutations. Have a good one. Hope your day goes well. Would you walk up to someone and say, hey, happy anniversary, instead of saying hello? Would you say mazel tov as you shake someone's hand? It doesn't happen. That's not the way it works. I am tired of people using the word cheers at the wrong time. I believe this originated with Aussies. For you that don't know it, it's the people that live down under. We get some bobbies. It is outrageous, though, that we have let that bleed into our society, and people here think it's okay to say cheers. See you, Brownie. Cheers. No, I reject it. I'm walking away. I don't want to hear any more cheers, guys. I am done with the cheers. My buddy and I have had it out before. We had it out today. Oh, I'm not happy.
Okay.
The Barbie?
Yeah.
Just the Barbie?
Okay, we're going to get to the cheers thing in a second, but you got rambling there. The accent kind of worked. It's shrimp on the Bobby. It's not get some Barbies. You made it sound like Barbie dolls.
Shrimp on the Barbie. I was trying to give it the accent.
You just went Scottish there. You just did a Scottish accent now.
That's what they sound deep Australia. They get a little bit on the interior.
Sorry.
Don't lose the point.
You distracted
lose the point for forest for the trees. The point is people are abusing the word cheers. I love cheers. I love it. But don't use it to say hello or goodbye. Or I've seen people put at the end of emails, and I I just want to lose it.
I put it at the end of my text. Cheers.
I use
Seriously.
it so much.
I love the word
I use it
cheers.
all the
Oh,
time,
God.
Struds. Is
So
this
do
because
I.
of me?
I
Is
never noticed it. I've never noticed
Oh.
you two have done it. Do you say you don't say cheers? You got
I say cheers
Rishaug?
all like on emails. I
do.
always, like so often, and then the
I can't believe
emoji.
it.
You type it in on the phone, and you just have the glasses clinking together. I do it all the time. I'm a chronic cheerser.
You guys you've been infected with it.
Yeah,
You've
but
been
think about it.
infected.
Cheers. What does it remind you of? Like two people drinking, having a
Yeah,
good time.
yeah,
Why?
that's
why-
right.
So when someone says cheers to me, it takes me to a good moment. It takes me,
Oh.
he just said cheers. Oh, I remember last week when I was drinking with my buddies. Oh, that was a really good time. Oh, the waitress was nice to me. She smiled at me. Oh, this is so good. See, look at the moment I had there because someone said the word cheers to me. But Strud said, see you later. And then I started thinking, oh, I actually might see Struds later. Oh, that's kind of boring.
Danny Moss says cheers means thank you. Bison Mask Guy says cheers was a good show.
But who said cheers means thank you? Where do we start accepting that as being reality? Right?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
sentiment. What about take care?
Take care. Love it. Take care. Hey, great seeing you. Take care, Struddy. Good. Boom. I
What do you
will.
think cheers means when you cheers someone you're like, good
Cheers means
merriment
let's-
to you, sir. That's what it means.
Let's
Merriment
celebrate
and
our
happiness to
being
you.
together. Yeah. No, guys, I cannot. I'm going to start rejecting texts, emails, conversation that start or end with cheers when it's not appropriate.
Struds,
Oh.
how old are you now, Struds? How old are you?
48.
So you are
77?
you're late 40s now. You're getting to the old man grumpy age. You are like,
Yeah.
seriously, you're getting grumpy.
Yeah,
Like,
Patrick agrees. He says old man screams at cloud. Patrick Lowe on the stream
They
says
don't,
old
they
man
don't
screams
yell
at
at
cloud.
clouds. I have felt this way
Mattis,
for a long time.
Mattis Moravchik says saying hello from Melbourne. So we do have people watching.
Yeah.
Sorry
Well,
if that was
ask him.
insulting.
If people use cheers a lot down there, I feel like that's where it's come from. I had a neighbor who's from New Zealand, slightly different accent, and and he would cheers me all the time. But because he had the accent, I let it get away. So if you have an accent that's from down under, I will let you get away with the cheers because I think that's where it started.
you
Obelisk
seriously
21.
are horrible with accents. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
really bad, man.
Like, they all
really
sound
bad.
the same. And they all sound like Eastern Bloc country. Like, I don't even know where you're coming from here.
I'm a catalog of various accents. I don't want to share them all tonight. You guys are getting distracted of my main goal. This is the pushback. This is where we start pushing back against the cheers.
Obelisk 21 tried really hard here. He says cheers has 3 official meanings in the, and this is ironic that he misspelled this word. I think he meant to say Oxford, but he says Oxford Dictionary. So he misspelled that, I think. Thank you, goodbye, and salutations.
Oh, they're wrong too. Where can I find the Oxford Dictionary? Do they have an email?
Well, this is
Certainly
the
not in your
Oxford
house.
dictionary. So, don't Aussies say good day a lot as well? Yes, that's
Yeah.
different.
I love it.
Trevor
Good day,
Harper,
mate.
Good
I'm
day.
in. I love that.
You got to make that face when you do the accent all the time.
Oh, they do. They scrunch it up, guys. I watched Karate Dundee probably 20 times in my
Did you
youth.
say Karate Dundee?
Oh, what I say karate? I mean crocodile.
The kilted zombie.
Did you watch the Crocodile Kid too?
What did he say, Brownie? I missed
He
it.
called it the Karate Dundee, and
Come on.
yeah, and the Crocodile. He's getting his movies all messed up. You got to stop drinking before you come on air, Struds. It's
Holy
really
smokes.
affecting your show.
That's how emotional I am about this whole cheersing.
The kilted zombie says cheers is perfectly appropriate. The British form of cheers, which has been adopted in recent years, is identical to thanks, goodbye, etc. Struds is stuck thinking it's just for drinking. It's not just for drinking, salutations, good cheer moments. You're behind on this one, Struddy. I think you might.
No.
Maybe you need to reconsider here.
This one I'm taking to my deathbed. If at my funeral someone looks over and says, "Cheers, matey," I'll come out of the grave and come and find you.
Well, if I'm at the dinner that follows that funeral, I'm going to insist on tons of cranberry sauce for everybody at the table.
Well, I sure hope his wife makes a roast too. I hope
Yeah.
they serve roast there.
I do love a good roast, though. I do. But if it's made by the Ronco Grill. But anyways, thank you, everyone, for listening to my speech about cheers. And do not cheers me. Do not greet me with the cheers. Say goodbye. Just out of the cheers. I'm out of the cheers business.
Okay. Plenty. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by my brothers, Rick and Rob at DLR Vinyl Products. Brownie, thank you for hanging in for that mess.
Yes.
You helped me. You helped
I'm all
me with
good.
these when nights go like this.
All right. Cheers, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Brownie, cheers, buddy.
I
Have a
reject-
great night.
I reject your cheers. I don't want it.
Have a great night, Brownie. Cheers.
You too, guys. Cheers.
Lots more to come. All right. Cheers, bud. See ya. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yep. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers, Struts.
Cheers.
I reject it. Rejected.
Roll the commercial, Steve. Roll the commercial. Cheers.
Winter is upon us, so why not make the best of it? Marmot Basin Ski Resort is where it's at. Ski half price every day, no blackout periods. Pick up your escape card for $99 and make winter fun more affordable. Half the price, all the powder. Get yours at www.skimarmot.com.
If you own or operate a business, you know the value of a great employee. Just ask Schauger. Pathfind is here to help you find your next star player to help take your business to the next level. Pathfind can help with recruitment, career transition, leadership coaching. They truly have your whole team covered. Building you a championship caliber roster, find your team's path forward at pathfind.ca.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. It is time now. And Steve, you got the wrong sponsor up. Not the end of the world. There you go. Time now to take a lap. Brought to you, Struddy, by
our good buddies at Backscape. This product is taking the online world by storm right now. It is literally everywhere. Get rid of unwanted back hair by yourself with Backscape. The water-resistant rechargeable shaver, coupled with the long handle, lets you take care of business on your own. Shave in any direction you want with no bumps or cuts. It's easy and it's awesome. Right now, it's their biggest sale of the year with 30 to 50% off. Visit Backscape, that's bakscape.com, and choose from a variety of package delivered right to your door.
Okay, pal, what do we got on the agenda tonight as we take a look around? Former Oiler taking a bit of a rough ride in Nashville. Hey, Tyson Barrie and the Preds.
Well, we actually touched on this last pod, talking about Tyson Barrie, formerly Edmonton Oilers, and had been a healthy scratch a couple games in a row. And then there was discussion about him and his agent being able to go out and find a new home for him to get to play. Well, the GM, Barry Trotz, doesn't like how this is played out. And I think, do you have the tweet there, Stock?
I do, yeah. So this is from Alex Doherty. Talking about Barry Trotz and his comments on the Jared Stillman and Company is the show that he was on. Basically, emphasizes that Barry's fit is dictated by his play and they would find a better fit. He says, we were very disappointed it got out because word leaked out that the player and his agent were going to be, given permission to look for a trade. We were very disappointed it got out because there's only about 4 people in the world that knew about it. I was very disappointed in that. It didn't come from the Preds. I do know that 100%. Obviously, someone felt that it should be out there and they'd put it out there. We will get on the phones and say, Tyson's not happy in his situation right now. Are there any takers? There might be, might not. And I'm sure him and his agent will be doing the same thing. Trotz reiterates he was very disappointed in the way Tyson handled it and his group, while returning to his refrain, I want you to come here to win. I don't want you to come here to retire. So some pretty strong, heavy-handed comments from the general manager who's frustrated. I would submit to you, though, Struds, that if the agent is going to be on the phone talking to 25 general managers over a 2-day period, it's probably getting out at a certain point.
Well, yeah, it might slip out, but obviously the Preds probably like to kind of control their narrative, and Barry, that's how he wants to do it. But it's not doesn't paint a flattering picture of Tyson Barrie. When someone says, "I want you to come here to win, not to retire," that is a hard one to get over. So obviously, he doesn't feel like he's maybe competing hard enough or playing hard enough. So where does this go? Well, he's an older player on expiring contracts, so there's some value in that for teams that are looking to upgrade it. He moves the puck really well. He has not run the first power play there in Nashville, which I think is pretty obvious why.
Yep.
So you're looking for a team that maybe wants an upgrade on their power play QB at about $2 million a year or so, whatever that half. What is it? 4.5. You split it up, so
yep.
2.25 or whatever.
Yep.
So what team is that needs help on their power play, that has space and wants to acquire this player? So this feels like something that might take a little longer to sort out. Shocker. But I think there's a player there, but again, to find the right fit, I don't know if it's going to happen quickly.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if the two sides got together here in the next few days and just kind of tried to figure out a way to keep this whole thing a little quieter. I think Darren Ferris and Ken Holland are probably going to do the same thing here, right? Get together and as Ferris said in his quote, just trying to handle it. We'll try and handle this privately. Like it's never great when things blow up publicly. And I would say that this situation in Nashville is a bit of a public blow up, right? When you've got a general manager talking about a guy that's got 790 games, sitting on 499 career points, by the way, funny enough, talking publicly about a guy that he's now got to turn around and try and trade, like something has gone pretty significantly wrong. We do not see this very often. Is this, to me, Barry Trotz, like coach at heart, right? For a real long time. Coaches can do that. When a coach gets frustrated, if you say, he can kind of snap in the press room a little bit and go off a little bit. You don't see GMs do this with an individual very often.
No, it's very clear. So obviously he's frustrated, right? So maybe this is something that's been boiling for a little bit of time. Just maybe the way that Tyson's played or the way he perceives it, Barry's played. So I think they're working on that. And then into the next action, we're taking a look at down in Arizona. And I've been fairly negative on the whole Arizona NHL experience for a number of years. And, them moving into a college arena that seats 5,000 people.
Yeah.
I never really felt this was going to be a quick turnaround. Now they had that space in Tempe, Arizona. There was a what do you call it? A plebiscite, a referendum, and the people decided they didn't want him in there. So they continue to play there. So now they got to figure out what they're going to do next. Well, apparently, according to our good buddy, Darren Drager, there is a piece of land they found in Phoenix. They've identified that they're going to purchase or are in the process of purchasing. And they'll be announcing plans in the next little while here of a new arena there. So, they moved into that rink. It's been a little while now. And then a new rink has got to be at least, Shogger, 2 years, 3 years? At least. And so they're going to be in that little rink for 4 or 5 years at a minimum total. So I don't know. I the persistence of keeping this team in Arizona, I tell you what, I wish some players forechecked as hard as Gary Beckman works to keep this team in Arizona.
I just think, what is it, like I want to say the 5th biggest media market in the U.S., somewhere in there. It's like certainly in the top 7 or 8. I just think all the major sports are there. I just think he can't wrap his head around the idea that they wouldn't be in a market that size, that would just be such a failure in his tenure not to have been able to figure that out, because it's just a massive, massive market, and there is lots of money there. So he is stuck with this, man, like a dog on a bone. He is stuck with this. It's interesting, Struds, like despite, there's been a sell-off and it's been a weird situation. Free agents aren't exactly flocking there. A lot of people thought Andre Tourigny went there just to kind of see them through for a few years until they were ready to compete again. Yet at the bottom of all of it here, the Arizona Coyotes are actually playing pretty good hockey and are competitive this year, right in the middle of all of this mess. There's actually a lot to talk about with the Coyotes outside of all of the other mess, which is interesting timing because it wasn't really supposed to be that way.
Well, that's what's absolutely incredible. You're right. They tore that thing right down to the studs, acquired, pockets full of draft picks. And now they've done a pretty good job in acquiring players that, maybe they need to. They took on some bad deals. And their younger players are starting to come through, right? And starting to play. And so, it is great that the team is rising above it of this whole distraction, because just even the last couple of years, they were in Glendale, then they're going to build a new rink, I think in college team, then they're going to build a new rink in Tempe, then they're going to build another rink. So that's 4 rinks that they're either playing in, or going to play in, or planned on building in the last, I'll call it 10 years, Schauger. I think that's probably fair. And that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But give those players credit, man, and the coaching staff, and fighting probably one arm behind their back with what their cap situation looks like. So it is impressive. They can ever get actual financial stability. There might be something there as far as, pushing a team.
I mean, Shane Doan really well, and obviously huge part of that organization for a really long time. What was your sense of that as a market when you were in the league? How was it viewed, do you think, by guys?
Yeah, we loved going there. I mean, it's beautiful, right? You're in a great hotel, you're golfing, it's beautiful. But I always felt it was just like the little town that just really had nothing going on, right? I didn't, as far as the team, the town is great, but just the team, the organization, I just always felt like everything was kind of done on the cheap, and they didn't have a big budget for stuff. And I understand that, but that's what it looked like when you went to play there. Now, guys love to sign there because, I mean, just like we heard from Barry Trotz, going there to retire, right? A lot of guys have stayed down in that area, and I get it. It's great. I mean, the weather's great. You're loving life, golfing, all the time. So yeah, it always felt to me like it was just cheaply done. Even that rink in Glendale, it felt like a cheap rink. It just felt like everything was done cheaply. And it didn't work out there. Now they're trying to find a new home. I don't know. Do you ever just say we tried and maybe we move out?
Not this commissioner. This commissioner,
crazy.
Man, it will not happen on his watch. If it's happening, I don't know that it's happening on his watch. Nick Bukestad, by the way, in case you were wondering, 24 games played, 16 points. Playing 17-24, and has won 53% of his faceoffs this year.
Right.
So, ouch. Be fitting well in that third line center spot for the Oilers. But
For sure.
he wanted pretty good money. And as we know, the Oilers didn't have a lot of that. All right. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Backscape. Steve, why don't you hop on in here, buddy? You've been trying to monitor this mess of a stream as we get to our Ask Us Anything segment, brought to you by Match Eatery and Public House. Holiday gifting just got better at Match. Purchase a $50 gift card, receive a bonus $10 card, and 2 Match-branded beer sleeves. Gift cards are available in the restaurant and at matchpub.com. Match Pub is your Ice District dining destination. Got down there yesterday for a little lunch, Struds. Had a chance to try some of the wings that we've been talking about.
Okay.
I've had them before, but I wanted to go give them another go. What's the deal, yo? What's the deal, yo? Was my favorite. Really, really strong. They had a nice spicy mango one too. So I think the Oiler pregame meal, the media meal, is getting a little expensive. Like it's up to like $24 for the media meal before the game.
Right.
Might have to divert my funds and head into Match for my pregame meals, buddy.
I could see that. Good choice. Good atmosphere. I love it in there.
It's right there.
It's so much fun. A lot of energy.
Speaking of a lot of energy, Steve, what's happening on the stream tonight, buddy? Let's rip through 5-7 minutes of this, and then we will call her a pod.
Alrighty. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the podcast took a pretty stark turn there when we entered Struddy's world. So the mood responded. But first of all, people want to know, JL says, all we want to know is, did the half melted candle respond to Strudwick? And Obi-Wan says, I second that. Did Pisani get mad at Struddy or what?
He did through a third party. Okay. I heard through a third party that he was not happy with my comments. But I also heard from Gene, he thought it was hilarious. So
that's good.
I'll apologize. Forgive and forget, right? It's that time of year. Forgive and forget, guys.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Marcu says, how much of the defensive improvement, Struddy, do you think we can actually attribute to Coffey? Like realistically?
Well, I think it'd be unfair to not give him some credit, right? Now, there's always going to be a bounce back, I think, because of the way the team was performing prior to the coaching change. But I think it'd be unfair not to attribute some of it to him. You hear some of the stories come on about the way he's playing players and having a relationship with them. And it feels like the D-men are taking less needless risks than we've seen previously.
I think, I was critical of the whole thing, right? I mean, we did it on this podcast. It was like, how's this going to work? He's a direct line to the owner, and what's this going to be? And, we definitely questioned it. And I think it was fair criticism at the time, but now you evaluate results and you go, well, Darnell Nurse is playing as well as we've seen him play in a while. He seems to be playing free and making lots of good plays. Vinny Darnay's had an uptick. Lots of different guys have. Bouchard has come around. We're not seeing the same big mistakes. And when you talk to the players about it, they tell you about his focus on positivity and not really dwelling a lot and trusting your instincts and, risk management, but trusting your instincts. I would say it looks like it's gone pretty damn well so far.
All right. K. Gill wondering about Campbell. If Campbell is supposed to get one more chance, why has he not been called up yet? And when do you think that's going to happen, if it will?
Yeah, I think they were ready to call him back up, and I think he had a tough night. And I think he let at least one goal in that is one of those goals you can't let in. I don't think it's going to be about him playing perfect game after perfect game, but I think he needs to not be letting in goals that absolutely should not be going in. So I think the plan got stalled because of his most recent performance. And Struds, I think they have the luxury of time right now because of their schedule. And the rest that Skinner just got, they can let it breathe a bit with Campbell here, get a few more games, and run Skinner.
Let's put ourselves in Campbell's shoes. Can you imagine the pressure he feels to get his game back up to where he wants to? And then here's maybe through the grapevine or something, he's about to be called up. And, the pressure he feels like this is, I'll be on the record. And last year I was the biggest Campbell supporter. I kept saying, you're going to need him. You're going to need him. You're going to need him. But right now he needs time to sort his game out. And I believe it would be unlikely that he will get to the level required to be the backup this year for Stuart Skinner. And it's not his skill. I just think that his game is at a point where I've had confidence issues too at times, and you just don't flick it on, flick it off in 2-3 weeks. I'm sorry, guys. I've said this my piece, but I think it's very unlikely.
Freezerbag says, Ryan, just buy a meal from the concessions like the rest of us peasants. So you can complain along with us.
Yeah. I was giving it to Freezerbag a little in the chat. He's had some pretty good comments, but holy smokes, man. This guy has been a negative vortex on the pod so far tonight. So, yes, fair point by you. Nobody wants to hear the media complain about their media meal prices. I was trying to plug a sponsor. I was basically saying I'm going to go eat at my sponsor's place. So if you can't figure that out, that's what I was doing, Freezerbag, that's a you problem.
All right. The Bison Mask guy right off the top of the stream tonight says, can a team this disorganized really win a Stanley Cup? With tic-tac-toe, he says tic-tac-toe has more strategy than a professional organization. I thought the old boys club was bad, but man, this is
disorganized. What are the areas where we would say that there seems to be a level of disorganization? I think the handling of some of the prospects and some of the younger guys. I think that's fair. But Strud's the bones of this thing, like the pure bones of it. Their top end players, their blue line. If Skinner can come around, it's still there. That hasn't just gone away. So as frustrating as it's been for Oilers fans, am I wrong? Are the bones still there of a contender?
Oh, I think the bones are there, but I'm not sure disorganized is a fair comment, right? Not every draft pick's going to make it. Now there are different ways to bring them along, and I think that I've said my piece about how I'd run them through, but not everyone's going to make it. But there have been some good stories, right? You look at Darnell Nurse has come in. What was he picked? 7. This guy was 8, right? Now, a different time. He was able to play his way into the league. So different situation. Stuart Skinner is a good story. He's an NHL goalie. Whether you think he's an A, a B, or C, he's an NHL goalie for sure. So there has been some good stories around this team developing their own people. But this is one situation that I don't think has been really good for anyone. So I'm not sure if I'd go and say they're so disorganized as a group.
Fair enough.
Well, K-Gill, getting back to Broberg a bit, K-Gill says, I blame Woodcroft for, the lack of development for Broberg. He says he started that 11-7 formula that ruined his development. And then McDavid's Holy Socks chimed in and said, didn't Woodcroft implement the 11-7 because Kenny screwed us on the salary cap and couldn't provide enough players, especially when injuries hit?
Jay just liked the 11-7 formation. Like he did. He had enough players at his disposal, but bottom line, he thought his 7th defenseman was better than his 12th forward. I mean, that was a big part of it. But it did create the illusion, Struds, that you could bring a guy like Broberg along in a system where they were going to play 7 defensemen. Like at least he'd get in the lineup enough, as opposed to just having to make a hard and fast decision that this prospect will not be a 7th defenseman, because a 7th defenseman is different in Edmonton.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of fans complaining when the Oilers were winning when they had 11-7. So I think we got to be, this revisionist history where no one liked 11-7. They were winning. People liked it. The fans liked it. So I think we got to be careful with that. But Brownie said it well, that you're not developing playing 8-9 minutes a night. You've got to get out there and you got to get on at least one specialty team as a D-man. I think that helps. Now it's hard to get in the power play. I get that. But the penalty kill, man, it's nice to get out there because that gives you that extra minute or 2 a night.
2 more, Steve-O. We'll wrap it up.
Okay, Penner's Pancakes is wondering, what's your best guess? Does Broberg become the next Caleb Jones or Ethan Bear, or does he go somewhere and blossom into a Clefbaum?
There's a lot of things I like about his game. I like how he skates. He defends well. He's long. He takes up a lot of space. But past that, I have a hard time projecting what he's going to be. I truly do. I think he'd be a partner to a really skilled player on the second line, and he just defends so well, and he'll take up a lot of space and take away people's time. That's kind of what I say. I don't necessarily see him as a power play guy, Schauger.
No, I don't see him running power plays. I see him on a bottom third team being a top 4 defenseman, and I see him on a good team being a third pair defenseman. I think he's better than a 7th defenseman that gets healthy scratched all the time. I think he has more in him than that. And I hope for his sake that he finds it, whether it's here or somewhere else. His career here is, he needs to get going. He needs to get playing games. He needs to get some confidence. He needs to get some wind in the sails. He's got to get going here because this is heading in a not great direction. He just needs to get playing hockey.
Okay, last one from JL, wondering, did you guys get an injury update yet on Holloway?
Did we? I heard it was in the 3-week range, but I'm not going to report that as fact. But to be honest, no, we didn't ask Knobloch that today. I'm trying to recall. No, we didn't ask him today. So our bad. Not always top of mind in the moment. So we'll try maybe tomorrow. Thanks for that one, Steve. Appreciate that. Okay, that'll wrap up Ask Us Anything. Time to wrap the podcast with our gem of the day, brought to you by United Sport and Cycle, Edmonton's most iconic home for everything sport. Christmas has arrived at United Sport and Cycle, so if you need something for an athlete or sports fan on your list, United has been your Santa's workshop for over 95 years. Visit www.unitedsport.ca. Do you have something in mind, Struds? What do you got tonight, bud?
Well, I think I got to call my own number, and Rob Brown, if he was here, he'd say it. He would say it. So I when I was making a reference about people from down under, I said Karate Dundee.
That was pretty epic.
At a Crocodile Dundee. So as much as it pains me to say it, Schauger and Steve, I'll say it.
That was absolutely amazing. That was a great strutting moment. That's from all those years on Gregor's show. Gregor is the king of mixing up his metaphors and mixing up his, that was by osmosis. You got that through Gregor.
Karate Dundee. And I love Karate Kid and Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. That is blasphemous.
An Australian karate guy. That'd been amazing.
Saw Gregor down at the rink today, and he took his toque off for us. It's not quite getting catastrophic yet, but it's not far. And he is so sour about it, Struddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I just love it. I think it's so great. And it's self-inflicted. That's the best part. No one even challenged him. He just said, I'll just do this. That's how sure he was. The Sharks were going to lose it over this.
He bet himself. That's the best. It was a bet he made with himself.
Makes no sense.
But he's starting to dress. The worse his hair is getting, the younger he's trying to dress to like compensate. So we were joking today. Won't be long before he shows up like, in a diaper and overalls because he's dressing younger and young. He had really young shoes on today. So he's trying. He's trying. Love you, Gregs. By the way, it's the month of giving over on AM 1440 with Gregor and his show. One of the great charitable campaigns that this city has ever seen, quite frankly. Amazing stuff he does. So make sure you tune in and check out some of the great ideas they have doing amazing things for charities across the city. There you go, Gregs. We made up. Thanks for tuning into the podcast tonight, folks. Much appreciated. And a huge thanks to our title sponsor, Sherwood Buick GMC. Hey, everybody. Have a great night. Cheers.